Well, hello there. Um, Welcome to our first lecture where we're going to introduce our main subject, excuse me, that we're going to be looking at all semester long, and that is values. Um, we all have our values. We all pretty much know what our values are, but we're going to look at it at a more analytical way this semester to be able to analyze not just our own values and where they came from and the influencers on them, but also the values of society, the values of characters, the values around us that we swim in every day, not just our own. So first, let's talk about what values are. Values are our sense of what's right, what's wrong, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what is desirable, what is undesirable, what is good, what is bad. And it's that simple and it's that complex because what you might think of as good or bad, someone else might see differently. They would have different values than you. And when it comes down to values, it's difficult to categorize them as right or wrong. They just are different from others. And you'd have to look at consequences of actions based on values, personally, I think, to determine whether something is right or wrong. So that's sort of our definition that we're going to go by. Our sense of what is good, bad, right, wrong, desirable, undesirable, acceptable, unacceptable. Now, we all know that our values have influences. And there are some influences that you need to be aware of that we're going to look at all semester. Okay? So the first of those influences, and probably one of the major ones, is religion. Okay? Religion is whether you subscribe to a particular religion or not is irrelevant. A religion has an effect on the world around us. There are different religions, different cultures, subscribe to different beliefs of deities, afterlife, things that religions do to comfort us in time of discomfort and sadness. Everybody has their way of worshiping their deity, their higher power. A lot of the values that come from religion's influence come through what's called wisdom literature. Most significant religions have literature that espouses what those values are or should be. Now, it gets complex, You get to something like the Christian faith in the Ten Commandments where it says, thou shalt not kill, okay? We all can pretty much agree with that, but then you get into things like, okay, does that include animals for food? Does that include the death penalty? So it gets complicated. And there's nothing wrong with complications. That's what we're here to do, is to dive into those complications and sort them all out. Because at the end of the day, all analysis means is to tear something apart and see how it works. And that's going to be what we're going to do this semester. Okay. The second influencer is history. It might not be an obvious one, but how we say we learn from our mistakes. Well, that's history teaching us. We learn from the past, so we're not doomed to repeat it. That's history. You may have a fierce sense of justice that might come from, reading about the Boston Tea Party when you were young and thinking that's what it is to be an American, to be a rebel. And that can become complicated, especially in lieu of the fact that we just had riots at our Capitol of people who consider themselves patriots. Okay, so history definitely has an influence on our values. Next, another huge influence, probably the first one that popped into your mind, is the media. Okay, we've all been influenced by the media. Every time you watch a commercial, you're influenced by the media. We just got through with all these political commercials. Oh my God, I'm so glad they're over with. Whether you like the outcome or not, you've got to probably agree with everybody that we were sick of those political ads. But yeah, so the media, whether that's television, magazines, commercials. Now we actually have social media, and people call themselves influencers. So that should give you a clue right there. Whether they're influencing people for monetary reasons or through some conviction about an aesthetic that they think, that they would like to help you create. It depends on the influencer's goal, right, and their values. Next is our education systems. You've all grown up apart or apart from our education systems. If you were homeschooled, you were still part of an educational system. Or actually, you might have been a part of a rebellion against a particular system. And nothing wrong with that. Like I said, when parents decide to take charge of their children's education, that's them doing their responsibility. Makes my job, I don't know. I've known some amazing students who've grown up homeschooled. And I feel like I missed out on being able to contribute to that amazing person. But our educational systems definitely have influenced our ideas of what is good, bad, right, wrong. There's a lot of peer pressure there. That's not necessarily due to education, but also due to just society and our social groups, our in groups and our out groups. Next, and is another huge influence, is family. Now, a lot of these intersect. Like you might have a family member that was the one who took you to church every Sunday. Not having a particular family member in your life is just as much a teaching values as having them there. So diving into how our families have influenced our values is something that we're going to be looking at this semester. And the last influencer we're going to talk about is not an obvious one, but when you think about it, it is. It's economics. People born into wealth see the world differently than people born into poverty. That's not a right, wrong, good, or bad thing, but it's just a fact that we see the world differently based on our economic situation. Okay? And some of you who are business majors or economic majors, you're going to be able to dive into that deeply. And I can't wait to find out some of your ideas about how economics has influenced your values. Okay? So that's our influencers. That's what values are. What I'd like for you to do now is go to the Course in Content and find the Reflection 1 exercise. Read that, and you have till Friday to turn in those couple of paragraphs. Always use your best writing because you're giving me samples of your writing each time, so I'm going to be able to, see where you are as far as your needs to get to the larger essays that our grades are pretty much based on. I look forward to reading your ideas. And if you have questions about the reflection assignment, please email me. It's quicker to email me at rbarker@westga.edu because I check that email a lot more frequently. But you can email me through CourseIn through the course of the week if you have questions. Okay? Stay healthy, stay well. It's exciting stuff here.